Seasonal Discovery rankings are way out, and Warriors are still topping the charts. Not only that, they are also the second best tank in the game right now. And that is really weird for many reasons. First of all, compared to all the other classes, they barely got any cool abilities with runes, their talents in level 25 are a disgrace, and they are a class that traditionally never performs well at all in level 25. And against all odds, the best warriors in the game are pulling similar DPS numbers to what a hunter in Molten Core would pull. How did this happen? Well, I guess we can start with the DPS side of things, because that one drips out into the tanking side of things. Why are them stupid warriors doing so much damage? Well, as somebody with 4 stupid warrior guides, let me tell you that it took a long time until the community settled on what actually was the best build. But after people optimized their BFD route and it was possible to clear the whole thing in full rage, the best build showed up, in the form of this guy making top charts. I made a video studying his gameplay the other day. It's pretty wacky, but basically his guild is running to pull fast every single mob, so he never runs out of rage, and if you got a full rage pretty much the whole time, consumed by rage, it is insane damage with Raging Blow. But if you look at the tooltips, it is not that crazy. Raging Blow is basically Mortal Strike, and Consumed by Rage is 20% extra damage. The thing about warriors is that warriors do not scale normally, they scale exponentially. Rage is not normalized in vanilla. For whatever stupid reason, rage generation is a complicated formula. I do not even fully understand it honestly, but basically the more damage you do, the more rage you generate. And herein lies the problem with the warrior. When you give them more damage, they get not only more damage, but they also get more rage to do more damage with that rage. If you give 20% extra damage to a mage, that means he's gonna do 20% more damage. If you give 20% more damage to a warrior, he's gonna do about 30 to 40% more damage. And you might say, well, the mathematics are just off because it is level 25, it is not a big deal. And here I gotta say that you are wrong again. While it is true that rage generation is lower every level relative to your damage, and you also get less crit per agility the more levels you got, getting higher levels lets you get more optimized gear with much more stats proportional to your level. Getting level 40 will make them stronger, not weaker. Also, by the time they get level 40, they will unlock either Bloodthirst or Molten Strike on top of Sweeping Strikes, which is gonna double the abilities that they cast, okay? And here's the problem. That is why I think in level 40 everybody is gonna go arms, by the way. I do not think you can compete with Sweeping Strikes, but anyway. Sweeping Strikes means that they will not only scale exponentially, but they will also do twice as hard damage at level 40. On a cleaving fight, of course. But you get my point, they get only stronger as time goes on. You take the scaling that they already got and you multiply it by 2. Now that's gonna be the level 40 scaling. That is gonna make them a balancing nightmare, because if you nerf them, you make them unplayable to the people that are not insane tryhards, that are not having the best gear and the best guild and are not stacking mobs to get rage. Those people are gonna see the warrior as a terrible class. And at the same time, if you give them good damage to the people at the bottom, to the normal players, they are gonna become so disgusting at the top raiding guilds that they are gonna fly ahead of everybody else, like literally every vanilla server ever. This, by the way, also is what makes them broken tanks, as taking damage generates even more rage. With the new abilities, the best prot warriors are doing insane damage. As a matter of fact, they are building full damage, and they generate their threat from stupid damage rather than from threat modifiers or flat threat values from abilities as any other spec would do. But the craziness doesn't stop there, people, because warriors also got Devastate now. Devastate is like Sunder Armor, but it does damage now. It does 90% weapon damage once you stack all the Sunders on the target. And if you are doing your strategies right and you're stacking rage, that means that you are swinging your weapon every GCD. Imagine you got a super slow one-hander with a big ass damage and you can swing it every 1.5 seconds anyway. That's basically the Prot Warrior in its current iteration. And while tank warriors do not have the best threat in the game right now, that title would go to the shamans. They have still way more threat than any DPS pretty much, and they are doing more damage than a lot of DPSers. They are doing S tier kinda DPS as a tank. And if you see that, it is no wonder that all the guilds are running warriors now. That's not even it, because the other thing is that since tank warriors are taking full damage talents, you can change runes on the fly and they can double up as a really competent DPSer because they got all they need right there. And that makes them the best off tank in the game, and they also make them the best tank for Alliance because shamans are not available in the Alliance. Speaking of that, they also got massively buffed for the Alliance and the Horde now, because once again they get Blessing of Kings in the Horde now with the Hunter aspect, and they got Wind Fury now from the Druid rune, so that means two things. Alliance warriors are doing 30% more damage period with the Wind Fury, and Horde warriors got 10% more stats. And remember, since warrior scales exponentially, that affects warriors more than any other class. While for a mage that would barely mean anything to get 10% more stats, for a warrior that is game changing. So, if warriors are so broken and it is so hard to balance, why are they not that way ever since TBC? Well, I kind of alluded that in the start of the video. They normalized rage. In TBC and onwards in retail, that too, generation of rage is a flat amount. Every time you hit, you get a flat amount. Every time you crit, you get a flat amount, so on and so forth, regardless of the actual damage that you do. That made it so people without a lot of gear have a similar amount of rage as people that got a lot of gear. And at the same time, that ended the positive feedback loop where damage means rage, which means damage, which means rage. That is the feedback loop that made them broken in vanilla and impossible to balance in Season of Discovery. But at the same time, and I know you're gonna get mad at me, so I'm gonna say it now before you get mad, I do not think that the solution is to normalize them in Season of Discovery. Why? Because rage generation is by far the most iconic aspect of the vanilla warrior, okay? If you normalize rage in vanilla, that would be gutting the warrior as we know it, and I think no warrior would ever like that. I guess the only real solution is for them to revalue, retune the abilities every single tier, because the mathematics are gonna change radically every single tier. And at the same time, that kinda sucks, people, because it means that they will have to make all your runes weaker than the previous ones just to compensate. And that just feels wrong. The sure part is that no matter what, Blizzard is gonna have to work overtime to keep them in check. And doesn't your heart just bleed for Blizzard, my brothers? No? Subscribe, leave a like, join the Discord, and thank you for watching!